What's up, guys? Today's episode, I'm gonna do a mud motor build.
I'm gonna do some drinking.
This is gonna be a Backwaters Ultra-Lite SWOMP kit. I'm gonna do it on a GX120, a Honda GX120 4-horse motor. I think this is probably one of the top ones on the market. It's good price. I'm hoping it's really gonna work on my canoe. I'm going to do an ultralight canoe build. This motor all set up should be about 50 pounds. My canoe weighs 54 pounds. So together, 100 pounds, I'm going to have 13 feet 9 inches of extra wide canoe with a square stern. This is also going to be my assemble, a Backwaters Ultralight SWOMP kit.
I got to clean out. I'm going to fish this weekend.
That's the handle.
Yeah. Probably in here.
This is going to be the, oh, you're talking about the mount?
Yeah.
Yep. Alright, so I just learned something the hard way. A lesson that I'm learning, you could prevent yourself from learning this the hard way. This mount, this is the Versa mount. This mount, you have to drill holes through your transom and then insert these bolts through your transom. I do not want to do that in my canoe. I should have got the clamp-on mount. I didn't know there was a difference. I'm going to contact Backwaters tomorrow and see if they'll let me return this and get the clamp on. I'll even offer to pay the shipping. To get the right one, just do a little swap, pay for shipping. So we're going to assemble the rest of the motor, and hopefully the customer service is way better than Mud Skipper's was, and they will swap me out this part for the other part that I need for my canoe. So on to the rest of the project.
Just Loctited down. What do they call that piece?
The keyway.
Loctited down the keyway.
Just give it a minute to set. Now push it.
Are you ready? Can you see it?
Yep.
Yep. Got lined?
Very much.
Still pretty close to low.
Now that mallet's got to be tapped on the back end.
Here, why don't you do it? I don't want to be responsible.
Oh, that hit made metal to metal all day, didn't it? It sounded like it, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Did it not?
Sounded like it.
Is it going in any further?
No. Mm-mm. No, it's not. I think now we just got to push this.
No.
You got to push it back in.
Not until we.
It's not in.
Not until we tighten these up.
Oh, yeah. That makes perfect sense. See your pretty face, I have to smile myself because I love you.
I think that's touching metal to metal there.
Yeah, that's fine. That's not the metal part you're worried about. You're worried about the pin, or the little pin job.
There it is.
It's all paint. I swear to God, it's a painter. Red paint. Huh. Swore I thought I just saw some. But I thought I saw everything in here at one point recently.
Alright, so a quick update to this build. We're pausing right now. I don't have any liquid thread sealer or any plumbing tape, so I'm going to wait until I get that until I finish putting on the housing cap and the prop. So we're going to move on to the handle and put the captivation plate on, and then we should be good other than getting some liquid sealant, finishing the rear end, and then swapping out the mount. Hopefully we'll be swapping out the mount with Backwaters.
So this thing did not come with any kind of instructions for the handle. The instructions were for the other handle for the light, or what was that one, light?
Swamp,
whatever,
and
not
the
the ultra-light. So this ultra-light is a very interesting little design. It's cut to 45, and all it comes with these little bolts. The best I can figure, or we can figure, is it still mounts right here to the same base plate, and it's supposed to kind of tuck up tight to the motor. It's a bit of a tight fit, but we're just going to run the screws through it that way and kind of see if it's right before we wire it together.
I thought you just go in like this.
I'm just trying to see something.
Ooh, they don't fit.
I'm just trying to see something real quick.
You gotta bore it out.
We'll try the other one real quick. Okay.
I don't know. I feel like that was too easy. And it
perfect.
was. Aluminum's easier, my man.
Soft ass metal. That's probably enough right there. Tighter, probably the better.
Perfect. Did you let go for a second?
I don't think I got it.
You do.
The problem is you're not gonna get the other one because of this heat shield. Don't put it anymore. No. You want to do that?
Let's see about the other one.
I don't think it's gonna work. We'll slide it back and look. I don't think it's not gonna happen. That's the problem. You might need that other freaking. I don't think that one's gonna work. I think the heat shield's gonna hold it all the way. This little shield.
Give me that flashlight. I'll smack it with a flashlight. That thing's light bulb hadn't broke yet. Is it still recording?
No. Here.
There she be. So,
You have to move your hands once you get it in there.
top too. Alright, so to wire this bad boy up, we have the kill switch, you have a oil sensor right here, and then you have your on-off switch. Your black wire from your oil sensor is going to go to your on-off switch. You can bypass that oil sensor and hook it into your red wire for your kill switch.
But your oil sensor won't work.
Yeah, then your oil sensor won't work, and then you ground your black wire to any bolt on here, which I've done. So this will run just fine as is.
With no oil sensor.
You're good to go, but your oil sensor will not do the shut off if your oil gets low. Now what I'm going to do, I don't have right now, but I'm going to end up splicing this black wire hot in with the red wire for the kill switch and where it was plugged into eventually, and then I'll tuck them all back in. But for right now, just assembling it and make sure everything's good to go and works, that's how I'm going to leave it for the time being.
This isn't all greased up, so we're just trying to be sure we didn't mess anything up.
Yeah, man, it ain't moving.
Yeah, mess something up.
Alright guys, so I had to take a little break. Where Paul and I were at in the action, we tried to see if the motor would turn over and turn the shaft. We didn't really want to run it, but we just wanted to see if it would work, because we didn't have it really, we didn't have it greased up yet, so we didn't want to run it. But just in that quick little test to see if it would turn over and turn the shaft, we found out the motor was seized up. So we took the shaft off, thought maybe it was an issue with the shaft. It wasn't, it was an issue with the motor. See, what had happened was, last winter, the motor tipped over. I had it on a different mud motor kit, a mud skipper, twister tail. Set it off my canoe, set it on the shore, went and looked for a down duct, came back, and the motor was tipped over. Well, I talked to some mechanic guys about some engines and other things I don't really know about, and I told them what happened, and what they said was that when the motor tipped over, it's likely that all the oil rushed up into, I forget what it was called, but I got oil up into places where it wasn't supposed to be, and I had to break it free and burn out some oil. I ended up getting it running, it smoked a bunch, some oil came out, shut it off, I took all the oil out of it. I dumped all the oil out, turned it the other way, put new oil in it. It's firing up and purring like a kitten now. So I'm going to put the shaft back on the exact same way it was, except I did go to Home Depot and I got some blue thread Loctite instead of using the Gorilla Glue this time. So I'm going to put it back on with that. And I picked up one of these little connectors so I can hook up my kill switch to the oil sensor so I don't have to bypass it. I can have both. So I'm going to install that right now, tuck all my wires away. I'm going to put my shaft back on just like you saw it where I left the video with Paul, and I have some thread sealer, so I'm going to continue on with the build and get the build done here. Alright, as you can see, the motor fires up and runs, and it turns off with a kill switch, it turns off with the safety pull cord, and it turns off with a regular switch. So I've got that wired in correctly. And I assume, and I'm hoping, that the oil sensor is still working. So it runs. Let's get that shaft back on it there, and then we'll finish this build. Okay, I've got the shaft back on. I'm back to the point where Paul and I left off. I've added on that little adapter, so I have the oil sensor connected along with the emergency shutoff, and now I'm back to that point where I can keep continuing on with my project. I have the bearing housing cap here. I see in a video online that you put a little bit of grease on the inside, so I have a little bit of grease here. I'm going to do that to keep your, I don't know if this is like a rubber washer, what this deal is in here, but I'm assuming it's to keep your grease inside your shaft housing. So I just put a little oil, sorry, not oil, marine grease on the inside, right in there on that black O-ring. And I have some pipe thread sealant to put on the threads here, but it looks like it already came pre-packaged in some kind of glue. I'm gonna go ahead and put some more sealant on there anyways, and then I'm gonna thread this bad boy on and get it tightened down. Got that thread sealant on there, and now I'm gonna screw it on. Alright, I got the bearing housing cap threaded on. It goes opposite normal threads, so righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. This went lefty-tighty, so just keep that in mind. If you're going to build this kit, it's an opposite thread. Well, as you can see, that is going to take another trip to Home Depot. I need some more washers. It says in the instructions that well, let me read them to you. Some props have a thinner hub length than the shaft of the hex on the shaft. So when the prop slides on, there is part of the hex shaft exposed. In this case, more washers should be used to slide over the hex, so the keeper nuts push against the washers and hold the prop tight to the shoulder. Well, as you can see, my prop is not holding tight to the shoulder. There's a little bit of play, wiggle room back and forth in it. So what I need to do is I need to go get some more of these washers, and I don't know, take about 3 or 4 of them to slide on there to space in that gap so that the prop sets up nice and tight and doesn't wiggle back and forth. And the kit didn't come with any more, it just came with a 1. So that's going to take a trip up to Home Depot and get me some more of these washers. But I'll continue on with the build for now. I think I'm going to put the prop on anyways, just with the 1 nut, and once I get everything done, I'll fire it up and run it just to make sure it runs right. I won't put it in the water until I get those washers put on and that prop secured tightly up against the shoulder. But for just sitting here in my barn on my canoe running it to make sure it works, I think it'll be fine. So next we'll move on to the cavitation plate. I got the cavitation plate installed. I just have to fix that prop and install the throttle, and the motor's ready. Give it a little grease in the shaft. But what I want to talk about now is this Versa mount. So the Versa mount, as I stated before with Paul, is set up so that you drill holes through your transom and you put these bolts through your transom. I don't want to do that with my canoe, so I contacted the guys at Backwaters and told them my issue. They said that there is no exchanging the Versa mount for the clamp mount because the motor isn't compatible with the clamp mount. It's only compatible with the Versa mount. So what he suggested is I pick up one of these mounts that they have. I'm not even sure what it's called. I just talked to him on the phone. He said I could clamp this on to my canoe right here, and then what I would do is I would take these 4 bolts and nuts right here, and I will take these bolts in this U mount, I don't know what it's called, take this off, and I would just bolt it into these holes right here. So it's kind of like an adapter almost, so I could use my Versa mount as a clamp-on mount. Not sure if that is going to bother you, if you're just going to want to do the Versa mount, but that is an option that is out there. It doesn't come with the kit, so if you want it, just give them a call. Their customer service is very friendly. He had it shipped out that day, and it was to me in like a couple days. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put these 2 mounts together, and then I'm going to mount on my canoe, and I'm going to slide the motor on my canoe.